common misconception is that terrariums require a lot of space. In this video, I challenged myself to create the tiniest terrarium possible, and things got a little bit out of hands. I decided to take a step-by-step approach, starting with a medium-sized glass jar and gradually moving to smaller scales. For the first terrarium, I decided to use gravel as the false bottom. I decided to add some window mesh as a barrier before topping it off with my substrate mix. Creating a sense of scale in miniature terrariums is key. I used tiny sticks and rocks to bring a big world into a small space. Using a variety of plants and moss can also enhance the sense of scale and add visual interest to your terrarium. I didn't bother using springtails in these terrariums because the moss I used was stored in a bin that was already full of them. I was pleased by the result of the first terrarium, but the real challenge was still ahead of me. In this second, much smaller terrarium, I used some filter sponge as a false bottom. As always, I topped it off with a layer of my substrate mix. Then I added a background of moss, a single stick as a scape, followed by two tiny Fittonia plants. When you have enough space, adding a section of sand is a great way to add some visual interest. Scaling down the terrarium presents unique challenges and exciting opportunities. For this much smaller terrarium, I used sand as a false bottom. I then topped it off with substrate, moss, and a tiny spiderwood stick. As the protagonist of the scape, I added a tiny cutting of Ficus montana quercifolia. This is one of my favorite plants because it has leaves with very interesting shapes. Now I'm determined to push the boundaries of what's possible with this tiny food coloring container. Working with a container this small really limits what you can use and do while scaping. I added a sliver of sand, followed by a tiny bit of substrate. This micro piece of spiderwood really seems like a big tree inside of this small container. Some old reliable moss, a little bit of adjustment, and the scape is finished. Now, I'm not saying you should just go and make a terrarium inside a food coloring container, but I wanted to push the limits and show you just how little space you need to enjoy a little piece of nature indoors. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the video. Thank you very much for watching till this far, and don't forget to subscribe to watch more content like this.